Good evening. Welcome to the Zanesville City Schools Board of Education regular meeting for August the 15th, 2023. I call this meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mr. Young.
Mr. Baldwin. Mrs. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Hickman.
Here.
Mrs. Lee.
Here.
Ms. Long.
Here. Introductions of guests, Mr. Appleman.
Branson and administrative staff.
Great, thank you. Welcome. Student reports. Zanesville Community High School report.
Mr. Moore is flipping chickens at the fairgrounds tonight. So current enrollment at the community high school to start the school year is 144, of which 49 of those students are exceptional education. They have added a new vaping policy and continue to look into new security measures on the other side of the building. We're also going to contract this year with Muskegon Behavioral Health for counseling for 12 hours per week for the entire school year. They're looking to upgrade and put a new digital sign out front of the building here, which leads me into we are replacing all the signs at all the other 6 buildings as well, which is kind of how that came about. He'll be meeting with Raylyn from Kessler still this week to set that up. Going to hold new monthly meetings with Zanesville City Schools to go over school status as we, inch back into the requirements between the sponsor and the school that we kind of have had waived the last several years, mostly due to both schools' ratings. And then they're, as always, excited to start the school year on Monday and look forward to a good year.
Thank you. Report of the Board of Education to approve the minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the minutes of the Zanesville Board of Education of the special regular meeting on July 6, 2023, and the regular meeting on July 18th, 2023. May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. May I have a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Report of the Treasurer, Board of Education, Mr. Mike Young.
Okay, guys, anybody have any questions on the July reports, financials, anything like that? Make notice, our insurance premium is taking the effect of the hail damage from, spring of 22. It went up about 25%. So good and bad. Obviously, we're getting $6 million worth of roofs through the claims that we won't have to replace for many years, but we're basically financing some of that with the premium. As I mentioned with Jeff's report, we are replacing all the digital signs at all 6 buildings. It will still also be the larger sign at the high school. A couple of other items we are going to, well, I guess one main item, we are going to do the new playground with handicap accessibility at Zane Gray. We're going to use ESSER funds for that. It does mention specifically if it's anyone with disabilities. So IDEA money is, if it's IDEA eligible, it's ESSER eligible.
Yeah.
So we are going to do that. And that will allow them to do their path with their PTA funds that they've been holding back for the playground. So those are just a couple of the things, normal things here. We're still waiting on the rollbacks from the state would come, roughly 6 weeks after we get the tax settlement. So those probably could come anytime between now and the end of the month. We're just working on appropriations and things to get ready for the new school year. Make sure all the budgets are input and all the different things that go on in August.
Thank you. Property liability and fleet insurance. To approve the property liability and fleet insurance with the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company through Young Insurance Agency effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, at an annual rate of $254,115. May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move, and a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Now we'll have the superintendent recommendations from Dr. Doug Baker.
Item 1, resignations classified. Approve the resignation of Jason Dilly, educational aide at Zanesville High School, effective August 15th of 23. Reason for the resignation is a new teaching position. Approve the resignation of Joseph Martin, custodian at Zanesville High School, effective July 31st of 23. Reasons for the resignation is personal. Approve the resignation of Danielle Frank, special education aide at Zanesville Middle School, effective August 15th of 23. Reason for the resignation is personal. And approve the resignation of Paige Cross, preschool education aide at Zen Gray Elementary, effective August 16th of 23. Reason for the resignation is personal. And approve the resignation of Calvin Collins, special education aide 1-on-1 at Zanesville High School, effective August 10th of 23. And the reason for the resignation is personal.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Item 2, employment certificated. Approve the following certificated personnel as listed for the 23-24 school year, pending appropriate certification requirements and background checks.
May I have a motion, please?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Item 3, employment classified. Through the employment of Kenna Hall as a special education aide at Zane Gray Elementary, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be MD aide, step 6 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Through the employment of Lacey Hiddle as a special education aide at Zane Gray Elementary, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be MD aide, step 3 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Approve the employment of Greg Gomer, 3-hour food service at John McIntyre Elementary, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be cafeteria 2, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Approve the employment of Emily Weaver, educational aide 1-on-1, Zen Gray Elementary, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be MD aide with AA, step 1 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Approve the employment of Michelle Pence, special education aide 1-on-1, Zanesville Middle School, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be MD aide, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Approve the employment of Isabella Hutchinson, special education aide 1-on-1, Zanesville Middle School, effective August 18th of 23. Salary will be MD aide, step 0 from appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. Approve the employment of Charles Battle, custodian, Zane Gray Elementary, effective August 16th of 23. Salary will be maintenance 1, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check. And approve the employment of Jess Allen, custodian at Zane Gray Elementary, effective August 16th of 23. Salary will be maintenance 1, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule, pending certification and background check.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second.
Lee will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Item 4, employment substitutes. Approve the following substitutes as listed, as and when needed, pending appropriate certification and background checks for the 23-24 school year, and then include substitute teachers, aides, maintenance employees, and food service.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. May I have a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Item 5, employee transfers. Approve the transfer of Brianne Snyder, education aide at Zangray Elementary, to reflect teacher at Zangray Intermediate, effective August 16th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be BA, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule. And approve the transfer of Matt McCandish, special education aide at Zanesville High School to reflect CTE teacher at Zanesville High School, effective August 16th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be BA step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule.
May I have a motion, please? The clerk will move. May I have a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 6, salary adjustment classified. Approve the salary adjustment for Chad Mumma, head maintenance ground screw chief from maintenance 5%, step 13 to reflect maintenance 5, 6%, step 13. Adjustment due to additional of ground screw personnel.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Item 7, FMLA leave of absence. Approve the following employees as listed for FMLA leave of absence.
May I have a motion, please?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Item 8, extended time administrative. Approve the following individual as listed to manage all summer school programming at their assigned building as and when needed, 21st century federal funding and or Muskingum Behavioral Health Grant and or ESSER funding will be utilized to pay their hourly rate per diem for duties performed outside of the regular contract hours.
May I have a motion, please?
Long will move.
And a second.
Lee will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Item 9, extended time certificated. Approve an additional 5 days extended time for the following individuals as listed during the month of August 23 prior to the 23-24 school year. Rate of pay will be per diem rate as and when needed.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 10, supplemental contracts. For the resignation of James Buddy Spraggins, 8th grade football coach for the 23-24 season. The reason for the resignation is personal. And approve the following list of supplemental contracts for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. May I have a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 11, volunteers. Approve the following volunteers with thanks and appreciation as listed for the Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year, pending appropriate background checks.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Item 12, stipend classified. Approve a stipend in the amount of $7,000 for Allison Doyle for duties related to school sponsorship at Zanesville Community High School for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Item 13, professional development. Approve the following individuals as listed to be paid $120 for the KRAA training completion, which includes independent online modules and a virtual professional development session. Title 2A funds will be utilized. And approve the following teachers as listed to participate in College Credit Plus training at Zane State College during the 23-24 school year. Rate of pay will be $100 upon completion of 3 hours of training.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second?
Leo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
yes,
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Item 14, math literacy coaches. Approve the following teachers as listed as math literacy coaches for the 23-24 academic year. Responsibilities include providing professional development to teachers in their school using the knowledge and skills learned through training. The pay is $2,000 for the academic year.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. May I have a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 15, literacy collaborative coaches. Approve the following teachers as listed as literacy collaborative coaches for the 23-24 academic year. Responsibilities include providing professional development to teachers in their schools using the knowledge and skills learned through the training. The pay is $2,000 for the academic year.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 16, Jumpstart teachers. Approve the following individual as listed as a Jumpstart teacher as and when needed for the summer of 23 at a rate of pay of $40 per hour. Title I funding would be utilized.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move,
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Item 17, employment professional security guard. Approve the employment of Michael Brown, professional security guard, 1-year contract, 10 months, 202 days at John McIntyre Elementary, effective August 14th of 23, pending background check. Rate of pay will be prorated, PSG 10 to 14, step 10 on the administrative salary schedule.
May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second.
Hickman will second,
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Item 18, additional hours administrative. Approve up to an additional 300 hours of work at $25 per hour for the 23-24 fiscal year for Kelly Lawler, Assistant Treasurer, payroll. This is to cover the additional hours required to process payroll each period. And approve up to 300 hours of work at $25 an hour for the 23-24 fiscal year for Jane Ford, Transportation Supervisor. This is cover the additional daily hours required to cover the 3 staggered daily schedules of the school buildings.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second.
Leo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Item 19, stipend administrative. Approve a stipend in the amount of $2,400 for Johanna Riley, administrative assistant to the superintendent, to assist with duties related to human resources and instruction.
May I have a motion, please? Oh, clerk. I'm sorry, clerk will move. And a second.
Long a second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 20, bus routes. Approve the 23-24 bus routes, subject to any changes and or updates as needed.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long a second.
Any discussion?
When it says changes or updates as needed, does that mean we can make changes to bus stops and so on and so forth?
Yes, you can make changes to bus stops. You can't move your bus routes out further than where you begin,
Okay,
but you can move them closer. So if we pick up bus drivers over the course of the year, we can move our radius in,
okay.
so it's closer.
So if we have an issue with a bus stop, we can change a bus stop.
Correct.
Okay.
Did they fix Putnam? I mean, are they picking up kids in Putnam yet or no? Did we decide that was too close?
You're talking about last year, some of those areas we.
That were,
Yep.
We moved it last year. That
Yeah.
counted. There's a couple new stops. Put new stops on Putnam.
oh, okay,
We should be, yeah. I always thought you about that. We
Yeah.
did change that.
okay,
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
yes,
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 21, telehealth amendment agreement. Approve the telehealth amendment agreement between Zanesville City Schools, Genesis, MVHC, and Allwell to provide certain telehealth communication equipment, including teletherapy and or telemedicine cards at no cost to reflect an expiration date from June 30th to 23 to June 30th to 24.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Item 22, Allwell Behavioral Health Service Agreement. Approve an agreement between Allwell Behavioral Health Services and Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year. Purpose of this agreement is for the provision of community behavioral health care services such as mental health assessment, individual counseling, therapy, group counseling, therapy, mental health crisis intervention and consultation, and life skills education to students, parents, and school personnel in the schools of the district. Total reimbursement to Allwell Behavioral Health Services will be up to $30,000.
May I have a motion, please?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Item 23, Muskingum Behavioral Health Agreement. Approve the agreements between Muskingum Behavioral Health Services and Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year. Purpose of this agreement is for the provision of community behavioral health care services such as mental health assessment, individual counseling, therapy, group counseling, therapy, mental health crisis intervention and consultation, and life skills education to students, parents, school personnel in the schools of the district. Total reimbursement to Muskingum Behavioral Health Services will be up to $60,000.
May I have a motion, please?
Long will move.
And a second.
Lee will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Item 24, memorandum of understanding between Zanesville City Schools and Ohio University. Approve the attached memorandum of understanding between Zanesville City Schools and Ohio University Center for Intervention Research to provide educational support services to teachers for classrooms management needs and improve outcomes of students with behavioral challenges using a tool called Beacon for Schools, effective September 1st, 23 through August 31st of 24.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 25, Board Delegate, OSBA Capital Conference. Approve Lori Lee to be the board delegate at the 23 OSBA Capital Conference to be held November 12th through 14th in Columbus, and approve Valencia Clark to be the board's alternate delegate at the 2023 OSBA Capital Conference to be held November 12th through 14th in Columbus.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion?
No, I'm just taking one for the team there
There you
after I
go.
did it last year.
right.
Just saying.
Well, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Okay, we're going over to the addendum. There is a change on the addendum, item number 3. Item number 3 says Muskingum Behavioral Health Agreement. It should be Muskingum Valley Health Center Agreement. Okay, item 1 of the addendum, resignation classified. For the resignation of Amy Slack, preschool education aide at Zane Gray Elementary, effective August 15th of 23. Reason for the resignation is personal.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 2, employment classified. Approve the employment of Kyler Brock, special education aide at Zanesville High School, effective August 18th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be MD aide with AA, step 0 from the appropriate salary schedule.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Addendum item number 3, Muskingum Valley Health Center Agreement. Approve an agreement with Muskingum Valley Health Center to provide primary healthcare services for the Zanesville City School District at no cost. This agreement takes effect for the 23-24 academic year and is automatically renewed each year unless otherwise amended or terminated by either party.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second, clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Addendum item number 4, supplemental contracts. Approve the following supplemental contracts as listed for the 23-24 school year, pending required certification and background check.
May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
And addendum item number 5, extended time, approve the additional 35 days, not to exceed 109 days for the school year at 7.5 hours per day for Betty Call as part-time pre-apprenticeship counselor at Zanesville High School for the 23-24 school year, pending proper certification and background check.
May I have a motion, please?
Long will move.
And a second.
Leo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Board committee updates. Lori, legislative or?
Not a whole lot. They're still waiting to name the new director. DeWine has not named the new director of the Department of Education and Workforce or the deputy directors yet. So he has not named those yet. So, and then student achievement, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Well, I guess I have one question. Do we have any student things going to OSBA for the student achievement fair? Do we know?
I'm not aware of any going.
Okay.
In the past, we've sent robotics and a couple times.
Yeah, we did do
Yeah.
the right
Good thing
thing
in
last
response,
year.
yes.
Yeah, okay. And then I just want to say I appreciate the administrative staff working on the absentee letter that you're going to be putting out to parents. I know that's going to be a real initiative, so I appreciate, and I think that is going to impact student achievement. So appreciate the work.
Anything audit wise?
Starting to gather up some of the stuff for the gap conversion. And they're also working on the 21-22 Medicaid settlement. So I got an email this morning, some things that they still need to look at to wrap that report up. And then I might as well keep right on going into insurance, and discussing things with ALR and obviously where we are cash wise and the advances and transfers we've made. We're probably going to look at 5% increase on the monthly premium for health. And then I'm also going to raise dental, which is board paid 100% from $75 to $80 per plan per premium, starting September 1.
Buildings and grounds, of course, number one, I want to appreciate all the hard work, Mr. Hiddle, that your staff has put in getting the buildings ready. And then as the teachers are entering buildings, and I've been in and out, they're rolling right in there and they're looking great, getting excited for the start of this school year. So we appreciate that. At the middle school, the stairwell is progressing. If you've been by or not been by, take a look. It is progressing. So we look forward to that getting finished in the future. And then we all took a look at the samples that we kind of have changed tunes a little bit on colors. The ones that we liked originally, not so much when we saw them up close. So we've all kind of taken a look at that and agreed kind of with the ones that we have established, the gray and the blue. So we kind of like that too. Thank you. Okay, we need to go into executive for a few minutes, don't we? Right? For levy stuff or no? Not necessarily. Okay,
You can do, I mean, obviously, we're looking for a levy
Right.
chairperson.
I have a couple
Some of the rules have
ideas,
changed
right? Because you two cannot do.
with what you can do. So if anybody has any suggestions, I guess feel free to ask those people that you're thinking about, or like to maybe get somebody in place 1st of September or somewhere early September as you make a push to November.
Responsibilities of that person?
Probably would be talking to any media, so the paper or, TV or radio. And just kind of be the point person with regards to meetings and, possibly signs and whatever the committee would decide to do for the
I was
levy.
gonna say, and do we need to assign people to that committee as well, or like some of our staff will be
Some
there?
staff can
Yeah.
do, I know in the past, the unions have helped, with some door to door and some different days that, I know people have done the trick or treat on the trail out at OUZ.
So I know we had talked about at OSBA that some of the rules around levies had changed.
Right.
But that is still, staff can still help with levies?
Just not during school time.
Just
Okay,
correct.
okay,
So I believe it's the most of the rule changes are limited to what we can do and say,
okay.
as well as the board individually. I think the board can still do things collectively as far as at meetings with specific conversation and resolutions, but
None of us can be the none of us can be the chair people.
correct. As far as I understand, everything that staff members have done in the past is still okay.
Okay,
As
all right.
long as it
good
is
to know.
outside their normal workday.
All right.
Any other closing comments? We look forward to a good beginning.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. Yes, Mr. Hiddle.
I would just like to let you know, I know I've been a this conversation for a little while now, for about 23 months. The generator for Zane Gray Media showed up yesterday and will be installed ASAP.
Oh,
So
nice.
that'll give our IT, collectively, that building's where all our IT's housed. So that will help if we have a power outage there.
Remember, we closed the district
Right.
down
Yep.
for a
Right.
couple days because power went out there,
Yeah.
but that shut down all the phones and internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
And convocation day is Thursday.
Correct.
What time's the start time on?
Doors open about 7:15, officially starts at 8.
Okay, I'll see y'all there.
Yeah, me too.
Thursday
Thursday.
You
morning.
guys don't have to come.
Hey,
That's okay.
now, we can come if we want to come.
New
Okay.
feature tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow,
What time's it?
7:30.
So 7:30, 8 o'clock.
You think that
Program
fit in my
starts at 8.
schedule?
Yeah.
Program
Would you
starts-
like me to come for that? 7:30? Right, great. Any other closing comments? Great. Wish you a wonderful beginning of the year. It's where we're here. Meeting adjourned. Be it resolved that the Zanesville City Schools Board of Education meeting is adjourned at 6:33 PM. May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second?
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.